trembling and astonished, said, Lord, what wilt thou have me to do? Right? And the Lord said unto him, arise and go into the city, and it shall be told thee what thou must do. Stop. So he said, arise and go into the city. Show me what you got.
Acts 22:1.
Right?
Men, brethren, and fathers, hear ye my defense which I make now unto you. And when they heard that he spake in the Hebrew tongue to them, they kept the more silent. And he said, I am verily a man which am a Jew, born in Tarsus, a city in Cilicia,
right?
Yet brought up in the city at the feet of Gamaliel,
praise the Lord,
and taught according to the perfect manner of the law of the fathers.
Right, go ahead, walk through it.
And was zealous towards the Most High,
right?
As ye are all this day,
right?
And I persecuted this way unto the death, binding and delivering into prisons both men and women, as also the high priest doth bear me witness.
Praise the Lord, this is Paul talking about his life before he was commissioned. The same thing we read in Acts 9. Breathing and threatenings and slaughter to the disciples of Christ. Read on.
And all the estate of the elders, from whom also I received letters unto the brethren, and went to Damascus to bring them which were there, bound unto Jerusalem, for to be punished.
Right, that's what Paul was into. Persecuting the Christians. Check it out, read on.
And it came to pass that as I made my journey, it was come nigh unto Damascus about noon.
Stop. In this account over here, and in chapter 26, he was on his way to Damascus. They all match up. He was on his way to Damascus. On his way when the light shined. Read on.
And it came to pass that as I made my journey, it was come nigh unto Damascus.
Didn't get there yet, read it.
About noon, suddenly there shone from heaven a great light round about me.
Right.
And I fell unto the ground and heard a voice saying unto me, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me?
Stop. So he said, I fell unto the ground. Hold that, give me Acts 26. From 11.
Acts 26:11.
Right.
And I punished them often in every synagogue, and compelled them to blaspheme. And being exceedingly mad against them, I persecuted them even unto strange cities.
Stop. Read it again, 9 and 1.
Acts 9 and 1. Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughterings against the disciples of the Lord, went to the high priest and desired of him letters to Damascus to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were born, whether they were with men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem.
So it's saying the same thing in all three accounts, that this brother was a rough cat before Christ commissioned him. Then the light shined on him. Read over here, 26.
26 and 12. Acts 26 verse 12. Whereupon, as I went to Damascus with authority and commission from the chief priest,
right,
at midday, O king, I saw in the way a light from heaven,
right,
above the brightness of the sun,
right,
shining round about me and them which journeyed with me.
Okay, so now he said, I saw the light shining round about me and them that journeyed with me. Right, read on that.
And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me, and saying in a Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me?
Stop. Hold up. Go ahead.
It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks.
Read it.
And I said, Who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am Yahushua, whom thou persecutest.
Now here it says, we all fell to the ground. Read that part again.
And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me, and saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me?
Stop. Come back to 22. Give me that when you fell.
Acts 22, verse 9. And they that were with me saw indeed the light and were afraid, but they heard not the voice of him that spake to me. 7. Acts 22 and 7. And I fell unto the ground and heard a voice saying unto me, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me?
So now he said, I fell to the ground in 22. Chapter 22. He said they all fell to the ground in chapter 26. Let's come back to chapter 9. Read that one more time. They fell.
Acts 9 and 5. Excuse me. Acts 9 and 3. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. And he fell to the earth and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me?
So let's make this understood, perfectly understood. This here is in the third person. Luke is writing this whole book, the book of Acts, chapter 9, 22, and 26. It's not Paul, it's Luke. Was Luke there with Paul? No. Luke wasn't out there when the light shined upon him. So what? Somebody told him about it here. They had to tell him about it. How did he get to know it? It's through him or the Spirit, somebody told him? Or the Spirit made somebody come tell him? So he wrote it down. Or spiritually he wrote it down. Read on.
Acts 9 and 5. And he said, Who art thou, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Yahushua, whom thou persecutest.
Right.
It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks.
Come on.
And he, trembling and astonished, said, Lord, what wilt thou have me to do? And the Lord said unto him, Arise.
Arise. He fell to the ground. He fell to the ground. Over here in 26, they all fell to the ground, he said. But here now, he says, Arise. Check this out how they end up standing. Read on.
And the Lord said unto him, Arise, and go into the city.
Right.
And it shall be told thee what thou must do.
And it shall be told you what you must do. Arise and go into the city. Check this out. Read on.
And the men which journeyed with him.
Side, man. I don't want to walk through the public sidewalk. Read on. Don't walk the baby in the street for nothing. Go ahead, read it.
Acts 9 and 7. But the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing the voice, but seeing no man.
They stood speechless, hearing the voice, but seeing no man. They heard the voice, they stood. They stood speechless, hearing the voice, but seeing no man. So now, the rest of the men stood speechless. How did they become standing when over here it said they've all fell down? Read that part again.
Acts 26, verse 14. And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me and saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me?
Right.
It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks.
Right.
And I said, Who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am Yahushua, whom thou persecutest.
So when they all fell to the ground, in the 26th chapter, they all fell to the ground. But the explanation is right here in the 9th chapter, when the Lord told Saul to arise and stand on his feet. When he told him to rise up and stand on his feet, all the other men rose with him and stood up also. That's how the men became standing, everybody standing. They all fell. According to the account of 26, come back to 22, Paul is speaking now. It's not Paul speaking, but it's being written like Paul is speaking, because it's talking like it's first person. But in actuality, Peter wrote this book. Paul